this is Stuart.
Are you good to go now?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yo, welcome to my Summer Lair. I am Sammy Younan. We can just kind of roll. We're just going to talk about the debut album by the Slice, and we'll talk about comedy. We'll talk about Vancouver, and we'll have a good time, and then that'll be it. Sounds good.
Okay, sure. Sounds great.
So we'll just get into the fun stuff.
Sure.
By the Slice, your debut comedy album. It opens with your quest to be a badass and yet named Stuart. Do you feel that the quarantine, the lockdown, has given you a better handle on that? Like, are you going to emerge as a badass who's named Stuart?
Oh no, definitely not. My personality hasn't changed at all. I mean, I have been trying to, do some exercise, but no, I'm not a badass, but I do play one on the internet.
Okay, so so you've kind of accepted your fate is basically what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. I think that if your name is Stuart and you end up becoming a badass, they probably give you a different name,
Mm-hmm.
you know, or they call you, like Big Stu or something. But yeah, I mean, no one. I don't think anyone says the name Stuart with fear attached to it, you know.
Okay, and you're not, and your quest is not to like initiate that to be the first Stuart that people fear. You don't think that's possible?
No, no, I'll leave it to someone else for sure.
Okay.
Um, Let it be their quest. The thing was, people always said that I looked like a Stewart, and so I tried to just work that into a joke, basically.
Do people fear you online when you play video games? And like, cause you have a Twitch account, right?
Yeah, I do play. I have played video games. I kind of sort of grew up on the internet a little bit. That in the card shop, but I play a little bit right now. I've just been playing Magic online, and but at the moment my internet isn't really strong enough for me to do any streaming. Although I do want to do a lot of streaming in the future because it's fun. It's fun to just play Magic and play whatever and have people watch.
So we've covered in just a few minutes. We've covered that you play video games, that you like to do streaming and Twitch, and that this is, I guess, partly why your bio it starts off with these 6 words: Stuart Jones is an adult nerd. So are these the things that qualify you to make you a nerd, or is there additional nerd qualities that you have?
I think it's just the history with playing Magic cards and and you know playing lots of video games. But that's what I think mostly it. But I'm also very tidy. I don't know if that's considered nerdy.
Yeah, that counts. Yeah. Would what about your crane machine skills? Would those qualify as a nerd trade?
Sorry, my which?
Your crane machine skills. You posted it on Instagram that you're really good with the
Oh,
crane machine, right? Where you can kind of use a claw then to pick up a stuffed animal or stuffed toy.
absolutely. So I used to play Friday Night Magic every single Friday for about 10 years, and right beside the card shop there was a convenience store that had one of those crane machines. So just over the years, I played it every single week, and I've ended up winning about 100, over 100. That was a long time ago. I've since given them all away, but yeah, the place is running comedy now. It has a crane machine, and I still got the skills, like riding a bike.
Is this kind of like you consider this like a backup plan just in case the comedy doesn't work out? Then you can kind of just go touring like North America and just kind of like living off things that you get from the crane machines.
Maybe. I mean, my dad says that I should perhaps look into actually trying to become a crane operator. Apparently, he doesn't have much faith in my comedy. But no, I don't think I'm gonna make too much out of this. I'll tell you what the trick is, though. This is a trick for you.
Oh, this is good. Yeah, yeah.
Um,
Give me the dirt.
okay, here's the thing. When you drop the crane, the crane can't really pick up anything, right? You can't rely on it to pick anything up. So what you got to do is you got to just look for things that are kind of stacked up at the back,
Mm-hmm.
and then just move the crane to the back, and then hook the thing, and then try to pull it into the machine, right into the hole. So most of the times you don't even win them. Like, you win the prizes before dropping the crane, right?
Yeah.
And you can kind of sometimes use the crane to push something if it's on the edge. But I'll tell you another secret, James. Here's what I did for the most recent one.
Okay. This is good stuff.
Yeah. This is my true passion, apparently. The first thing I won in that crane machine was a selfie stick.
Mm-hmm.
And then I won one of the stuffed animals, and the other one was just on the edge, but I was out of coins. So then I used the selfie stick to get it. I stuck the selfie stick in the machine and expanded it and used it to hook and win the other one.
Okay.
I don't think that's against the rules, you know.
I was going to ask about
the prize to win another prize.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the ethics of that, because doesn't that violate some sort of crane machine ethics, or is that legal?
You know, I don't think I've ever met these mystery people who stuff the crane machine, but if I do, I'll maybe let them know not to put selfie sticks in there.
Yeah.
Basically, you know, you're kind of incentivizing it, right?
Yeah, technically it's their fault when you put it that way. It is their fault.
Yeah, I didn't come with the selfie stick intending to rob a stuffed animal.
And when you give away these stuffed animals, do you name them first, or you just give them away and then let the person that receives it, they can get to name the animal?
No, I've never named any of them. Like, I started winning them and then not knowing what to do with them, and it was kind of just a novelty.
Mm-hmm.
And then I remember in like 12th grade in high school, they had one of those like food bank donation things, so I just donated all of them that I had, because it was kind of weird that they were in my room to begin with, right? People were like, "What's with all the stuffed animals?" And I'm like, "I win them in a crane machine." People don't believe you. So I gave them all away, and so I always give them away. They never really make it home. In this most recent batch, I gave one to another comic, because he gave me the toonie to play, so that's only fair. And I think he was going to give it to his girlfriend. And then the other one I gave to a dog who ripped it apart within the hour. So it was a good time.
Yeah, that is a good time. Speaking of good time, though, we have to refer back to your album, your comedy debut album, By the Slice. We can't just talk about the crane machine. Although the strategies are good now, I'm really going to have to like focus on my crane machine game now that you've inspired me. But going back to your comedy album debut, By the Slice, the common expression is that sex is like pizza, right? When it's bad, it's still pretty good. That's how this whole thing goes. So is comedy like pizza, or I guess I guess sex for that matter too? But is comedy like pizza?
Is comedy like pizza?
Yeah.
I don't think so. You know, I think, you know, I've never seen pizza so bad that I've had to leave the room immediately.
Right. Pizza always delivers.
Right. Yeah. That's a good one. Yeah, comedy does not always deliver. You know, pizza. I think when you're stumbling home at 3 a.m. and you're drunk, no one's ever like, you know what I can go for right now? Comedy. So, yeah, I think there's a difference there.
Yeah. Because this is your debut album, like how long have you been working on this material for?
Well, some of it is a mix of older stuff. Like, it's a mix of older stuff and newer stuff. But I started doing comedy in 2010, and I never really knew what I was kind of building towards. And then just the opportunity to make an album came out, so I did some of my best material at the time, and I'm pretty proud of it.
Mm-hmm. In Van City, in the comedy scene, you're known as the pizza comic, which I think is what partly inspired the name By the Slice, right? Is it strange to be the pizza comic in Vancouver, which has like a reputation for like being vegan and vegetarian?
Yeah, a little bit. I don't know if I really live up to that moniker anymore. There's another great pizza comedian out there.
Oh no!
But what
They're stealing your stick.
But when I first started, yeah, exactly, copycat. But when I first started in Kelowna, I had like jokes about pizza and stuff, and so that's how then when I moved to Vancouver, some of my best bits were about pizza. So I kind of developed that reputation. But when I moved to Vancouver, it was 2013, and I was only 3 years into comedy. And even then, there wasn't a whole lot of comedy in Kelowna. There was 2 weekly shows, occasionally 3.
Mm-hmm.
So I got a lot better, and I developed a lot more material in Vancouver. But I still do eat a lot of pizza, and sometimes on my Twitch stream, I had a friend donate to me because I have a donate button, and all the donations go towards me ordering pizza. So sometimes I order pizza live on stream.
Oh, okay. So people have that to look forward to once you kind of get better Wi-Fi, better internet.
Yeah, exactly. People look forward to buying me pizza.
But speaking of Vancouver, though, like by the slice, some of the topics include like news and politics, where you talk about Trudeau, taking the bus, homelessness, astrology, and vegans. Like you were away from Vancouver, from BC for a while, right? Like, did coming back home give you a newer and deeper appreciation for your home province?
Oh, you mean at what point? Like I started comedy out in BC, or are you referring to something else?
Oh yeah, I thought you had moved to like Ontario for a little bit, or was that just a joke?
Oh, yes. No, I did. Oh, right. I forgot. You really listened to the album. um,
I wasn't. I thought that was
yeah,
a serious bit, though. I thought that part was serious. The rest of it was foolishness, but I thought that was serious.
it is. Well, it is based on. A real thing. I did move to Ontario. I did my post-secondary out there. I was living in Kingston, and and I did at one point when I moved there. I was like, wait a second, I could change, because I had met a few people who had gone by their middle names, and I was like, I could do that. No one knows who I am. But then I figured it would be too much of a hassle. So,
Yeah.
so here's the real story behind that.
There we go. So that's what I was asking. So like, then coming back to Vancouver and going back to BC, right? Because like I said, the topics on the album are like taking the bus, homelessness, astrology, and vegans, things like that, which are commonly associated with BC and with Vancouver. So did coming back home give you a newer and deeper appreciation for your home province?
Oh, certainly. Well, I mean, when I came back from Ontario, I initially moved back to my hometown of Kelowna, and that gave me a lot of perspective as well, because Kelowna is a very beautiful place. It's right on the lake. It has amazing summers. But if you grow up here, like, you'll meet people who just like complain about Kelowna all the time because they haven't really seen the rest of the country. Once you go through like the freezing rain in Kingston and just like all the salt everywhere, right? Because you're just slipping otherwise, and it's like that for 5 or 6 months. Then you come back to Kelowna and you go, you know what? It really is nice here. But in terms of Vancouver was kind of my first venture into sort of living in the big city sort of thing. Because Kelowna is not that big of a place. Like in Vancouver, you suddenly had to learn like directions, like east and west.
Mm-hmm.
Like that was important.
Yes.
And the difference between avenues and streets.
Yeah.
like none of this ever happened in my mind, right? And it was really even the first time I had to like really rely on public transit as well. But yeah, I mean, there is a lot in the you can't ignore the homeless as much as some people try. You do see them a lot in Vancouver. And I was when I moved to Vancouver, I got rid of my car and I was just on the bus all the time, the sky plane. So yeah, and sometimes that's where you do your best writing.
I could imagine. And Vancouver too, also in terms of directions, helps you because there's an ocean, so you kind of know you've gone too far when you hit water.
Oh, you're overestimating my sense of direction. It is really bad. It is really bad. Like, I'm probably one of the few people who's actually used the Compass app on their phone, and I'm not a hiker, so
Yeah.
I would just get lost.
How do you not get lost when you're playing video games? Don't you have to like go through different rooms and floors and levels and things like that, or you can just kind of navigate, or you just get just as lost in a video game?
Oh, I get pretty lost. I try to avoid anything that's a bit too open world. I like a game that's like you can go down, left, or up, and not one that's like in any direction and that sort of thing. Oh yeah, I've definitely got lost in video games before.
Okay. So you understand your strengths and you understand your weaknesses, basically, is what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely need a map
Hmm.
on me at all times.
Another bit that was on the By the Slice comedy album is Fantasy Pizza. Can you explain what Fantasy Pizza is?
Oh yeah, fantasy pizza. Well, it's like fantasy sports, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know what fantasy sports are, right?
Yeah, where you have like a fictional team, where like you draft real players, but you have a fictional team basically, and then you hope that they do
Yeah.
well.
So I don't play sports. So I go on the Domino's website and I play fantasy pizza, and I design my dream lineup, and it's a great time.
And so, should I also be surprised since we have been talking about Vancouver and British Columbia? Did you film the comedy special called "Save the Planet" already? It's with 7 different comedians. That's correct.
Yeah, that was actually, I'm just hearing from them right now because they said that it was going to come out on July 29th, but now they're telling me it's delayed. But maybe maybe that's not worth recording. Um, yeah, so Save the Planet already. It was filmed at the Kino, and the Kino is a great comedy venue in Vancouver. It runs like the longest running independent show. It's been going on for about 13 or 14 years. But the whole place should have like a documentary about it. It's amazing, the Kino. But Steve Allen, who runs it, he knows some people who produce different shows and that sort of thing, and they wanted to record something. So the Green Channel is a streaming service, and all of its content is, environmental related, so documentaries, things like that. And they wanted to produce some of their own content, and they wanted to try and produce something a bit more lighthearted because most of the things on the channel are just different ways about how the planet is being destroyed. So they
They need
thought,
a couple
why
of
not
jokes, basically.
comedy? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So something a bit lighthearted. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely a weird thing to get approached with, but that's the fun of show business.
Yeah. So how does that
And
work then? Like, do you mock the polar ice caps for melting, or like how do you make like environmental jokes then?
it wasn't it wasn't easy, but there is something a bit easier about if you tell a comedian to write a joke about anything,
Mm-hmm.
they kind of don't know where to start. But if you say, write a joke about forest fires, then at least you have sort of a starting point, and so you can map out like when it comes to the environment, there's so many different issues, right? You can talk about greenhouse gases, or you can talk about you can do some wordplay related to Mother Earth, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you can do something about ice camps melting, all that sort of stuff. So there is a lot to work with, but it was odd to sort of write for something that only will be performed a few times and then kind of never again.
Oh, you're not going to recycle it? See what I did there?
I think, believe it or not, I believe the Green Channel people are against the recycling of jokes.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Uh, words out. So then, if this does well, then I guess this is not something that you would kind of like follow up with, or like do I don't know, a roast of Mother Nature or something like that.
That's a good idea. I could definitely pitch it to the guy. Yeah, I mean, let's see if how this works out. I think if you go to the Green Channel, I think you're able to get a free trial if you go
Mm-hmm.
to the website. I think it's the greenchannel.tv. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of different, there's a lot of. I watched one of their documentaries to try and get some inspiration, and it was about how I guess at the end of the First World War, all the major countries around the world, they dumped a bunch of mustard gas and other sorts of chemical weapons into the coastline around the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
But because it's illegal to do that, they kind of all globally denied doing it. so apparently there's just canisters of mustard gas, hidden all throughout the coast, and so that was a fun one.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah. Who are your influences? I know that's kind of a corny question, but like, listen to your album by Slice, because you do like very ordinary slice of life, basically type of comedy, which kind of more Seinfeldian. But I don't know if Seinfeld would necessarily be an influence. So who's an influence for you?
Right. Yeah. Well, I think my favorite comedian is Doug Stanhope, and I really like the kind of storyteller, social commentary, long form, very funny, good use of language that like people like Stanhope and Dave Chappelle have. But at the same time, I recognize that I don't think that's my style.
Mm-hmm.
And so I also was influenced by people like Jim Gaffigan and Brian Regan, who could just like be funny and make jokes about dumb things,
Yeah,
That
like
was a
Jim
bit more.
Gaffigan's Hot Pockets kind of bit.
Yeah, and not just that, it's not just the Hot Pockets, it's just like 40 minutes on food and different, it's like he just sat in his kitchen and just looked around and wrote an entire special, right?
Yeah,
So
I think he has that whole.
That's like
Yeah, that whole bit on like cake and pie and whatever, and he keeps going back and forth between the two.
Yeah. And I remember the first time I saw Brian Regan was like with a group of friends, just over at a friend's place, and the parents were watching, and it was just so universally funny to everyone.
Mm-hmm.
And then when I saw him at the Orpheum in Vancouver, there was like a 3-generation family sitting in front of me, like parents, the 10 and the 8-year-old and the grandparents,
Wow,
all like watching and having a great time. And we go like, wow, this guy is the best, right?
Mm-hmm.
So as important as it is to sometimes have a message, not everyone can do that very well. And some people just want to laugh at the stuff. So I'm a little conflicted between both, but I think that's because I have both of those, those inspirations, right?
Yeah, that makes sense now when you say it like that. Do you miss the live stage? I assume you haven't been on the stage for a little while now, right? With the quarantine and the virus and everything kind of going on.
Well, right now, at the beginning of April, I moved back to Kelowna, and then we were fortunate enough to have the place that runs comedy open back up mid-June. And so I was doing comedy, I think the first show back was June 11th.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I definitely, I definitely missed the stage, and I went back right away and, and did every single show I possibly could. But then, unfortunately, over the July 1st holidays, there was a sort of an uptick. They call it the Kelowna cluster. And since then, the bar has shut down the comedy again. So we're back to no comedy.
Mm-hmm.
But I was glad to have had the chance to get back on stage. I know that a lot of people have been, other comedians have been saying, I don't know if I miss it. I don't know if I'll go back. This is giving me perspective. I definitely missed it, and I went back right away.
What are the elements of it that you miss? Like just the actual like interaction with the audience, or like just the smell of the room? What is it that you miss?
Yeah, that's interesting. I think it is just the environment in a way, because there's different forms of comedy, right? With all the, like with the sketch comedy and the stuff that you can do on the internet. I know some people were doing like the Zoom comedy shows, and I wasn't a fan of those, although I don't want to knock anyone who does it, or at least they did something.
Mm-hmm.
But that, having done those made it so clear to me how important the environment is for to do stand up, to be a bit elevated, to have the mic, to have a crowd, right? Like you need that sort of crowd, and you need them to really be there live.
Yeah, and it helps. I find like I don't do comedy, but I know have other friends who do, and I find that it helps them obviously refine the material because you can kind of have a couple of premises or some ideas in your head, and then you just kind of need to go and see if it connects, if people get it, and kind of work through the material that way.
Yeah, absolutely. Because I got a chance in my first show back. I got a chance to try out some new material, and it felt great. Just to figure out what lines, what really works. What parts have potential, and it's like even if you think of the funniest friend in your group, it's like that person still needs the group around in order to be funny, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yeah.
you know how anyone who's hung out with a group of friends knows that that group is where it just kind of keeps ramping up, sort of thing. And with stand-up comedy, it's not totally the same, although all the we had a bunch of comedians there, and most of them stayed for the show and watched the entire show because they all were wanting to laugh and had that sort of that feeling as well.
Yeah, and you also need I guess that humiliation too when you think something's really funny with that group of friends and you make the joke or you make the comment and then it falls flat like it belly flops basically into the pool. You need that like just to kind of like keep your ego in check a little bit too.
Yeah, especially because sometimes you think that that's what people are going to laugh at, and then they don't, and then and then they laugh at the thing that you thought they weren't going to laugh at, and so yeah, absolutely, the feedback is critical.
So as we said, the debut album, your debut comedy album, By the Slice, is set for August 24. Is it going to be weird that you can kind of like I don't know go on a tour or promote it or something? You may not be able to do some of the traditional things to promote a comedy album. Is that kind of weird, or are you just hoping that people will still find it like on Spotify and other places?
Yeah, I've been planning out some some alternative things. I want to start when the album comes out. I want to start releasing some clips and a bit more content, and hopefully get back into the streaming because now I'll actually sort of have a spot to direct people. Because I could direct people to my website. You can check out stuartjokes.com. There isn't really much there, right? I would rather people listen to the album. So
Yeah.
once the album comes out, yeah, I'm gonna try and use all those internet skills that I've learned over the years to try to promote it that way.
Are your internet skills as good as your crane machine skills?
Well, I'm trained in IT, so I'll say yes to that.
Okay.
They're better. Just in case this whole comedy thing doesn't pan out, I got to go back to work in IT. I'm still employable,
Yeah.
but yeah.
You mentioned your website. Where else can people find you online to talk about pizza and crane machines and comedy?
Well, I'm on all the social medias as Stuart Jokes. That's StuartJokes, and I'm hoping to start releasing some things. Probably just do more Twitch streams coming up in the future. I'll admit I don't throw out a lot of content on the Instagram and the Twitter and those sorts of things at the moment. And I have this weird feeling that kind of social media in general might be at the tipping point. I don't know if you there's something weird about it these days, and so I kind of want to back off from it a lot. But, but that being said, you can just look at Stuart Jokes and hopefully follow me on Twitch. That would be great.
Yeah, I think what you're saying about social media, I think the problem was that when the quarantine and the lockdown happened, people were basically left with like 24-hour news. So they were either watching CNN or Fox, depending on their perspective, and then this constant stream on Twitter and Facebook. So neither option was really that healthy. They were kind of left with like pop culture junk food, basically. And so I think people are kind of now realize that like they haven't really been eating healthy for the last few months. I think this is what you're kind of alluding to, if I'm correct. And so it's like almost like they want to do a diet or kind of like do one of those like hippie fasts or whatever. Is that kind of correct?
Yeah, I think it's just like over the years, it seems like it's been um, slowly driving people crazy,
Oh yeah,
and
yes,
some
that's
of those
valid.
sort of some of those fruits are kind of starting to blossom or whatever the saying is. Because on Facebook you get memories from 10 years ago, and and it's cute because now you're all so like innocent, and compared to like what you see of people, these diatribes and arguments that people are on, like it's just never ending, it seems.
Mm-hmm.
And so yeah, I think some people like sometimes I'll see someone post something and it's so inflammatory, and I can't even be upset at them because I feel like it's not their fault. I
Yeah.
feel like that they've just been driven crazy by it.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at these, like how there's people on YouTube, and it's like like a mom and a kid, and she's like scolding him or like looking at his report card like live on and turning it into like a YouTube series, and you're like, this is insane,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's like, if you're just looking at it from an objective standpoint, you're like, this is really weird. But I think those people just go, well, that 8-year-old made $40 million on YouTube. We can do that too, right? And then they
Yeah.
just they go crazy from it. So and what the thing was, I don't think the anonymous internet and the real people were never supposed to like merge together. Because I grew up, playing the video games and the internet and stuff, and everyone always just said the most horrible things, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
that was kind of the standard. And then all of a sudden, Twitter came along, and it mixed like real people with these anonymous video game people who think that who where they come from, it's okay to say whatever they want, right?
Yeah.
And then the news started reporting it, and it just like went crazy. So anyway,
You
that
clearly, yeah, you
has nothing
clearly
to do
spend a
with
lot of time.
comedy.
Yeah, I know, but I was just gonna say too, like you clearly spend a lot of time thinking on the bus though, to realize this and to see these things. Is that accurate?
Well, on the bus, well, I've just been quarantining,
Yeah.
luckily. But yeah, maybe in a way I can I'm in that on the bus in my mind sometimes or whatever.
All right, we'll leave it there. With you on the bus in your mind, because we covered fantasy pizza, we covered your crane machine skills, we covered Vancouver and Ontario, like living in Ontario, moving back to Vancouver. We covered quite a bit in the time that we've hung out. I think we did a good job.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks so much for having me, Sam.
No problem. So yeah, so the album is the comedy album is By the Slice, and it is out on August 24 on 604 Records. And I assume that I can post the links and stuff too, but it'll be on Spotify and the regular places, right?
Yeah, it should be available at all the regular spots.
All right, great. Thank you so much for your time, Stuart. This has been fun. We did go over a little. We did get into the more serious stuff with the internet, but other than that, we did have some fun. So I appreciate your time. So thank you.
Okay, yeah, thanks so much for listening to me, and thanks so much for having me, Sammy. I had a lot of fun too. Take care.
Take care. If you want to check me out, it's My Pal Sammy at Twitter, Facebook, and IG. I do also write a newsletter called My Pal Sammy. It's on Substack, so if you Google My Pal Sammy Substack, it'll show up. I'll be there all week. My Pal Sammy.